Hello everyone, good morning. Thanks for taking the time to be here with me today. We have a cooler room here than the weather outside, but it's still a choice to be listening to IoT presentations all day. So what I want to do today, the topic of the conference is transforming industries, and I want to focus on that angle. I was listening to other presentations like the one before, and discussing on technology. So I really want to look at the business side of IoT, the transformation side of IoT, and bring to you some examples to illustrate what we have done at Schneider Electric on that journey. I created the global IoT organization for Schneider Electric 5 years ago, and I still drive that organization. And the goal was really to support the reinvention of our business, because when we speak about transformation, evolution, revolution, this is really about reinventing our business with new and different technologies. So if we start from an interesting data point, you know, there was Davos earlier in the year, in January, and an interesting factor is the World Economic Forum considers that by 2022, more than 60% of the global GDP will be digitized. And when you think about it, that's really a massive number, because when you look at industries that have been built over the years on a lot of physical goods, on a lot of very tangible things, the fact that the economy is digitized to the extent of 60%, so the majority of the economy as a foundation that is digital, is extremely impressive, and I think it's the kind of shift in the history of industry that will have very clear winner and losers, because it's not easy to completely reinvent a business from a business that was physical to something that has a much stronger digital content. An interesting comment from Forrester that published some studies at the end of the year. I believe it's a long shot because we are far from doing this at Schneider Electric, but thinking about Schneider Electric that could package power management, which is what we do. That's our traditional, historical, brick and mortar business, doing low voltage panels. That's a significant part of our portfolio. But sell this as a flat monthly service fee are interesting. That means that it's a very significant change of business model, because today we sell power management as a transactional business. And not only covering the power management equipment, which is what we do today, but also conservation upgrades by regional contractors, and adding the electricity from local utilities companies, so delivering the access to electricity as a flat service fee, and packaging this all together. So what is extremely interesting in that statement, even if it's a long shot, is either Schneider Electric as a company, we go in that direction, but we have to look carefully if not somebody else is going to do it. Because either we make our business stronger and richer by adding different additional source of revenues, different value proposal for our customers, or somebody else is going to do it, and then our business is going to become a commodity component, part of a broader value proposal of somebody else. And nobody wants to be really in that situation. You don't make a lot of money with a commodity business, fundamentally. So I thought this quote was interesting because it highlights one fundamental element. Yes, there is an underlying element of technology, and we speak a lot about technologies. The discussion in the presentation just before on ubiquitous connectivity, or with wireless, can you get connectivity to places where it was hard before? It's very important as an enabler, but it has limited value if this doesn't materialize into a business model that supports and expresses the value of that technology in the right way. Or if the business model doesn't align with the structure, the cost structure of a specific technology part. I have seen in IoT a lot of interesting, difficult cases where people are moving to digital, but keeping transactional business model. So they have one-time revenue, perpetual cost. not a good spot to be, fundamentally. So this element of joining technology, reinvention of the business model, reinvention of the value proposal, I think it's a very fundamental element of IoT, and we should focus more on this, and not only on technology, even if the advance of technology and the portfolio of technology available is extraordinary and will even get better in the years to come with the advance of those technologies. So what we do at Schneider Electric, for those of you that are not familiar with what we do, we provide energy and automation digital solution for efficiency and sustainability. So we have been doing energy management and automation for the last 30, 50 years. We are historically a French company, but today we are very global in our footprint, as you will see in the next page. And we are really looking at this intersection of efficiency and sustainability. We operate in many business segments where what our customers want is really be more efficient, produce more with less resources, improve productivity, but at the same time, for a lot of different reasons, all our customers have sustainability challenges. There could be sustainability challenges because it's an important element of their brand commitment. This could be sustainability challenges for purely economic reasons, reduce energy consumption, for example. Or this could be sustainability challenges because of regulations that request that you reduce your emissions. But for any of those three reasons, all our customers want to find the best optimum between efficiency and sustainability. It is not an obvious optimum. Okay, we could reduce the energy consumption of that room by increasing the temperature, but this will be at the detriment of your comfort. Okay, so finding the balance between the different parameters and optimizing the balance between those different parameters based on a specific goal is very important. And this is what our customers in our different segments want us to do. So where are we operating? I was mentioning that we are a global company, even if historically we are from France. I am French, as you can hear from my accent, but I'm based in Boston in the US. And we have, if we divide the world in 4 geographies, we are pretty much at 25% of our portfolio everywhere. We have 29% of our business in Asia Pacific, China being a big part. And we are looking at the evolution of the situation in China right now with a lot of attention because it's a very important element of our business. In terms of end markets, 4 end markets, commercial, industrial, and residential buildings, really spanning from small residential properties to very large, complex, critical buildings like an hospital, for example. That's 40% of our portfolio. Data center and networks. We do a lot of business with data center operators. We do pretty much everything in a data center except the IT assets and the concrete of the building, but the facility management combined with the energy management, the PDUs, associating the renewable energy that more and more data center operators want to add in their energy mix. Most of them have committed to be carbon neutral. So how do we balance all those different elements in the data center infrastructure is important. Industry, of course, very important for IoT as a market, and infrastructure and utilities in general. We have right now, and that's one of the ways we have used to measure our growth in IoT, we have 2 million digital assets under management. So we have developed a catalog of services that have assets as an underlying element, and those assets could be a low voltage panel, an automation system, a machine, a building. So they are really the physical units of what we connect to, where we collect data, and based on those data, the value we deliver to our customers. So another set of things that continue for me to be a bit mind-blowing. So we are looking at the evolution that 5G could bring. It was part of the discussion in the previous things. So there are a lot of use cases in the manufacturing and utility sectors, some of them promising to be extremely disruptive. We have seen in the past 10 years that some technology goes to a very big hype cycle and then we land onto reality after. That's probably going to be the case as well for 5G, but there will still be, out of this, some new use cases that will be producing value. One that is extremely important for the rest of the conversation today is the amount of data that is generated. I think what I like to use as an illustration, yourself as an individual, you have access to a lot of data, and if you observe what happened to you with your smartphone for the last 5 years or even the last 10 years, the amount of data you have access personally is tremendous. But is all that data useful? Is all the notifications you have on your phone useful? Is all the emails you are receiving useful? They might reach to a point, like me, where you don't even look at your personal email because there are so many crap that land up onto this. So you are looking at solutions to how do you pick the ones that are the most relevant. So the problem of big data is that it's compounding at a tremendous speed. We are looking at 33 zettabytes of data today to 135 zettabyte by 2025. At these levels, this doesn't mean anything anymore. I've read recently another article that was saying that more data were produced in the last 5 years than in the previous century. So I think this is an important element. Yes, we are adding technology. We are adding a lot of technology and a lot of potential. This produces a lot of data. What are we going to do with those data? What kind of value are we creating with those data? And are we sure that the value we create today is to the proportion of the data that is accessible? And AI, which I think reached this plateau of that I was mentioning before. We continue to have a lot of increase of spending. We forecast 6 times increase of spending between 2017 and 2022. But then what result does this actually yield for customer? What is the usability of the technology? What are the acceptance of this technology by users on the field? There are use cases that work extremely well. There are some other use cases that are not delivering the promise that we're expecting or that are to use for different people. So this combination of big data and AI, I think, is extremely important to look at. So you know, and you know that number, I think originally it was communicated by Cisco, so 10 times more connected things than connected people in the world. That's massive, and this is only going to grow, which produce data that are everywhere. So if we sidetrack a little bit on technology, so we have done this at Schneider Electric, so we have built a stack that allows to go from products that in the past were focused on a specific function, like a motor control architecture, or a circuit breaker, or a protection relay in the grid. So we have made all those products connected or connectable. We have improved considerably our capabilities to have control at the edge, even developed and communicated about a certain number of solutions that bring AI at the edge so that we can process some of the data, like in predictive maintenance scenario. And we have developed a set of apps, analytics, and services that serve our 4 end markets. And very often it's a combination of those different things. It's an application, it's a digital service, and it's a traditional services. Like in some electrical maintenance applications, we are able to provide to the electric maintenance engineer an application that helps him or her understand where are the weak points on his infrastructure in an hospital, for example, highlight which equipment is at risk of failure because of any parameter like aging, environment, modification on the connections or anything, and then proactively trigger a service event, and this service can be delivered by the company itself or by Schneider Electric if an agreement has been signed in terms of services with us. So we have done all this in the last 5 years. We have created almost 50 of those different digital services that leverage data and IoT, and this has led us to pretty much drive digital transformation for our customers to a scale that is around 500,000 sites globally. So it's a combination of factories and buildings, and including our own. We have applied our technology to our own factories. We have roughly 250 factories, and to our own buildings. We have hundreds of buildings around the world to demonstrate to our customers and to show them in real situation what kind of value can be created with those different solutions. And if I take a couple of examples that are non-Schneider Electric related, so with BASF, which is one of our large customers in the chemical industry, this combination of connected products with a power monitoring system as an edge solution complemented by EcoStruxure Asset Advisor, which is the application I described just before in the context of an hospital, connecting to electrical assets, combining monitoring data with maintenance data, so real-time data with non-real-time data, and having structured data and non-structured data as well. End up to have more than 100 asset variables that are monitored by data-driven services, gives to those maintenance engineers a 24/7 asset visibility, and based on estimates we had on the cost of the downtime of that specific customer, an average saving of $1 million a day by mitigating those catastrophic failures. Like, for example, being able to understand that when you have an emergency power supply, to be sure that when you are going to switch that one on, it's going to work. And how do you know that? Because you monitor the status of the equipment, you compile these monitoring activities with a maintenance report of the equipment, and you estimate what is the risk of failure on startup of the equipment, so that you guarantee that when this equipment will be needed, it's going to actually work. So that's material savings and risk reduction for the customer in that specific application. When I look at Hilton, so commercial real estate is a very big business for Schneider Electric. So a different type of solution, so making room controllers connected, adding at the edge a building management solution, complemented by guest room management system and property management system, which, by the way, is a third-party system. So here at the edge, we combine Schneider Electric system from third-party systems because we have an open architecture with EcoStruxure that allows to do this. And then EcoStruxure Resource Advisor on top of this as another type of digital services that aggregates all the different data and clearly describe to the customers where is the energy consumed in the property, what are the parameters that are triggering these energy consumptions, and what are the levers to improve. This yields 14.5% energy savings since 2009, which at the scale of Hilton is pretty impressive, and a 3% average savings per year through energy procurement and cost avoidance. So one of the elements of Resource Advisor is not only we share a model for the customers to visualize energy consumption and the data associated to it, but we provide energy procurement services. So now that we know the pattern of energy consumption of the customer, we can recommend a specific supply contract, we can recommend a specific utilities, we can integrate in the mix some requests like renewable. A lot of customers are telling us, I want to increase the renewable mix in my energy consumptions, but I don't want to do it to the detriment of the availability of energy, for example. So because we have those data available, we can return to the customer more insights, and we can return recommendations that bring additional business impact for the customers. So when we look at another angle more on the machine side, so Somic with one of our OEM customers. So interesting application because Somic is doing machines. So the connected products start from a servo drive with a set of edge control solutions which are classical automation and HMI type of solution. And we added on top of this a solution called EcoStruxure Augmented Operator Advisor. So we are really here about how do we augment people on the field with tools so that they can act on the different machines. And for Somic, what was at stake was to execute on their commitment of reducing the unit energy consumption of their machine. So it was part of their value proposal to differentiate GSM from their competition in terms of consuming less units of energy per unit that is produced by the machines. But in order to demonstrate that this is a reality and actually do it, you needed a solution and a piece of technology to do this. So we have been able to help them achieve a 40% savings in energy management altogether, and also integrate to this a continuous optimization during operation. So not only doing it one shot and then you forget it and then this slips because many parameters evolve, but really have a connected solutions that allows to maintain the optimum level of energy consumptions across the life cycle of the machine. So bottom line, one thing that is important in this, the challenge is not really the technology solutions that we are using. I believe today, with all due respect to all the technologies inside Schneider Electric or outside Schneider Electric, There are plenty of technology solutions available. The challenge might be to choose the right one in a specific context. There will be new solutions that are going to emerge and that are going to bring new capabilities. But what is fundamental is to drive new business models, because if we want to be able to have suppliers like Schneider Electric or partners and customers finding an economic balance in those solutions, we should not end up with IoT being more technology in the products that do not end up being monetized because the value associated to the technology is not properly captured on the field. So fundamentally driving those business models with digital innovations is on the angle of three dimensions for me: making data useful with AI. I will again illustrate this with your own personal situations. Are you able to consume all the data that is accessible to you? Probably not, but the solution to this is to process those data with AI in order to bring you in the right context, at the right time, relevant insight. What kind of information do you need about your home when you are in your home versus when you are outside of your home? You don't need the same information. So just by adding location services, then you will get alerts that are relevant to your context, for example. So making data useful with AI, really transforming data, raw data into information, information into insight, is the first pillar of this reinvention of business models. Optimizing workforce with digital. I think there is sometimes an opposition between workforce and people and digital and AI, like one is going to take over the other one, so AI is going to take over the workforce. I don't believe in that scenario. I think in reality, if we do it right as an industry, we are going to make AI useful for people, make jobs more interesting, more value creating, and this is what we have experienced in our own factories. When we have deployed AI-based technologies in all factories, the resistance to change were not from the workers. The workers enjoy the opportunity to have more insight, to have more autonomy in driving their operations. The change was more difficult for all the people that are behind the glass wall in the factory that live as data crunchers and live on the complexity of access to data. It was much more difficult for them to change because a big part of their job, low added value, becomes irrelevant. So optimizing workforce with digital is a second important dimension. And then monetizing data through digital services, inventing business models that transform data into value. That's for me the third extremely important dimension. So a last part of my presentation, what we have come to realize over the last 3 years, and we have acted on it and built new capabilities that I'm going to show you right after, is IoT is really a long-tail game. So I think it will be extremely ambitious for any single company alone to try to address completely this long tail. We have, and all of us in all different industries have large customers that has an important point of focus. But if you look at Schneider Electric, probably 80% of our business comes out of small and medium enterprise. And why is it important? Because those small and medium companies do not have very strong AI or even less IT capabilities. They have a different profile, so they need different things. And they need things that are adapted to their specific context. And this needs an ecosystem. So what we have come to the realization that not only we needed to have technology, business model innovation, but we needed to have a bigger and different ecosystem to address the challenge of IoT and create business values with IoT. So we created Schneider Electric Exchange, which is an open business platform accessible to anyone and not centered on Schneider Electric. We are just the orchestrator in this platform, really combining 3 capabilities with the intent to create a cross-industry open business platform, really dedicated to solve real-time efficiency and sustainability challenge. The idea of Exchange is a what-if scenario. What if we were starting from a real problem and not from the technology? So instead of developing a capability that is waving pieces of technology in front of people, hoping that they will find a problem that use those technology, why don't we do the reverse and create conversations that are based on real problems and then activate an ecosystem, gather people together to actually recommend the right approach, recommend the right technology, recommend the right business model in order to solve that business problem. So that's the goal of Schneider Electric Exchange. And just to illustrate, as I'm running a bit out of time, with two examples. here, Jordan Engineering in Canada and Supertech in India are two Schneider Electric customers that never should have met, because one is in Canada and the other one is in India, and they work on their respective local markets. But in fact, Jordan Engineering was starting to work on new process control system, what we call hybrid DCS, and they needed to have a library of pieces of software to extend the capability of the normal system to address their specific customer needs. On the other hand, Supertech in India had already developed those libraries because they had similar projects like this. So what if we were creating a capability where those two could meet digitally and trade economically those things? And this is what Jordan Engineering and Supertech did on Exchange. Supertech published their library in the marketplace of Exchange for a fee. So there is a price to those different assets. And Jordan Engineering acquires those assets in order to bring this to market faster with their solution. Win-win game. Supertech created additional revenues, and Jordan Engineering was able to solve a specific customer problem faster. And all this thanks to the power of the community. And as I said, it is not fundamentally about Schneider Electric. It's about connecting people and helping them to solve real customer problem in an efficient way. Similar scenario with BAS Sistemas and Enig Media, so I'm not going to detail it because I'm running out of time, but that's a similar idea of taking different participants of the ecosystem, facing a specific customer problems and connecting them so that they can ultimately find the right technology, consume the right technology, monetize it, and solve their business challenge. So as close to a conclusion, I think the shift that we have to do as an industry is really to move from data as an uncontrolled, I will even say, byproduct of IoT, to data as a product itself. More and more, I think that in the next 5 years, the IoT technologies are going to come more and more in the background when all those technologies land onto reality and go past their buzzing point. And data is really becoming the core topic and is becoming the product. We could imagine in the future, and again this is a long shot, that a lot of the things that we do at Schneider Electric has value not because of the product itself or the function, but because of its ability to capture, sense data of the environment and push those data toward the systems that will enable value creation with those data. That could be a major shift in terms of business model, and that's a possibility that we are looking at for some of our different products on the market or solutions. An example of what we are going to do through Exchange on that scenario is really finding, bridging an end user, in that case a facility manager of a major global fast food chain. So many small, thousands of small restaurants all around the world, it's fast food, capturing data from those different buildings to be able to benchmark buildings and operations between them. This specific customer was able to find the right partners, so the right technology solutions, the right local partners in all the geographies targeted, thanks to Schneider Electric Exchange. Or another system integrator that is working on a building that is looking for a LEED certificate. How do we create, like this building, by the way, how do we create a dynamic digital LEED plate that feeds on the data from the building itself so that you have a permanent real-time LEED status of the building available based on an infrastructure. Those are just two examples of things that we have been doing with data in the context of that ecosystem. My last quote to finish. So Harvard Business Review in the latest edition saying that the strongest competitive position will be accessed because you will combine data and network effect, a dual accomplishment that very few companies manage to pull off. I think this ability to create this data-based value and the network effect associated to it will be, in my view, an element of differentiation across companies in the future. And the differentiation will not be limited only to the right usage of technology in IoT, which is the situation we see today. So thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation. And to continue that conversation, I invite you to join us at exchange.se.com. where you will find thousands of very useful assets in your different business, and hopefully being able to start useful conversation for your business that will have a positive impact on your top line or bottom line, because at the end, this is what this is about. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cyril. Folks, a round of applause for Cyril Perducat.